of fun. I'm her second banana, always the butt of a joke. I'm her second banana, the ham that never gets smoked. I have talent, I could reach for the sky. I've got talent, but too yellow to try. So I'm stuck here just hanging around. I'm a second banana, the only way is down. I'm living in this hell where the dead still get to make choices. I'm living hand to mouth while her highness drives Rolls Royces. One day she will go too far, and I know I'm going to snap. Till that day, I'll just smile and play and put up with all of her crap. I'm her second banana, living my life on a ledge. I'm her second banana, one step away from the edge. I could end it, but what good would that do? I'd be right back here for an interview. I'd be back in the course of a day. I'm a second banana, and I'm in hell to stay.
Two-minute stare.
Constance, I want to talk to you.
Oscar, you have had years to talk to me. Whatever important subject you wish to discuss now can wait until the interview resumes.
Constance, look at me. This is important.
Good. Neither of you quit.
I apologize again for trotting off like that.
Situations like this run high with emotion.
It was rather uncalled for on both our parts.
Look, I get it. Manners are important to you, but here's a little piece of advice. Save them. I've been doing this show for I don't know how long, so that they can watch people like you cross over. If that means I have to coddle you one moment or attack you the next, so be it. It's my job. Don't worry about being nice to me, because I don't care. So put civility aside, it will not help you.
Understood.
You need to take this seriously. Both of you. Now get ready.
10 seconds. Few lights. Go, Ollie.
Ladies and gentle ghouls, welcome back to Clear the Air. Once again, here's Bernadette.
Hello and welcome back. Let's hear it for the fabulous Ollie Fisher.
Oh.
So, did you enjoy the break? Did you try the angel food cake backstage? I heard it was to die for. It never gets old, does it?
It does.
Yeah, it does. Well, in case you've just joined us, here's a quick recap. We have been talking about Constance Lloyd and Oscar Wilde, prominent figures in the arts and fashions of the Victorian era. We have been discussing their long courtship, from their initial meeting at a tea party to their wedding day. But the honeymoon did not last long for our star-crossed lovers, as reality started to rapidly set in. As my good friend Gloria Steinem said, "The truth will set you free. But first, it will piss you off." So, are you ready to get to the truth? Things got a little heated just before we left.
Heated. They were spitting enough fire out of their mouths to barbecue a chicken.
Constance, obviously the wound is still very fresh.
Of course. We have been in purgatory for more than 100 years without speaking a word to each other. There is still so much yet to be resolved.
The worst thing you can do is run from your feelings.
But she represses them. She always has.
Do you mean to defend me or insult me? Either way, I can speak for myself.
Oh, can you?
Yes, I can. Believe it or not, I, your wife, am perfectly capable of taking care of myself. More than that, I was able to take care of our boys as well.
So was I. You wanted to seem like you were the only one who loved them and cared for them. I was still in the picture. Do not cut me out.
I did not cut you out, Oscar. You did that all by yourself.
How? How did I eradicate myself from our family?
How did you not?
I hate to do this, but I'm going to switch gears. I know where this is going, and I don't want to tackle that subject yet. But trust me, we will tackle it. Wouldn't want to rob you of the drama, would we?
We wouldn't want to do that.
No, we wouldn't. So, Constance, you had mentioned before the break that after your second pregnancy, Oscar buried himself in his work and was out all the time at social gatherings?
Yes.
I can't remember which one of you had mentioned it, but it was alluded to that your finances weren't in the greatest of shape.
Very much so.
How did that come to be?
When I was young, I thought that money was the most important thing in life. As I got older, I knew that it was. Entering into the world of literature was both eye-opening and maddening.
How so?
These writers and poets who I had respected for years were attending art openings and opera premieres, dining out every evening and ordering round after round of top-shelf spirits until sunup. I found myself needing to keep up.
Not only that, but you had a reputation to keep up. Why, the public expected, if not demanded, to see you at all of these events, right?
Precisely.
Were you aware of the outstanding balances that you accrued?
Aware, yes, but to what extent, no.
You did not have to attend every one of those parties, Oscar.
They were social obligations, darling.
You could have been more selective.
Oh, moderation is a fatal thing. Nothing succeeds like excess.
We were up to our eyeballs in debt. It's true. You knew those expenses we'd live to regret. You know it's so. They had never put food on our table. I'd scrimp and save every way I was able, but the wolf stayed at our door, always howling for more. There can be not a shadow of a doubt. You just never learned to live without.
In all honesty, I have the simplest tastes. I am only satisfied with the best.
Oh, of course. You were having a good time. Why bother yourself with the limitations of your pocketbook? We were up to our ears in bad checks. It's true. You knew. And the bakers all wanted our necks. You know. It's so. I would tighten our belt, yet our pants fell down. You'd blow your pay at every pub in town.
to the other that Oscar's absences produced the debt?
Without question. I think I saw Oscar's bills more than I saw him.
Now, wait just a moment. Now, I was out a lot. This is true. But, Constance, did you complain about any of the renovations that we made to our house?
No, Oscar, that was an entirely different story.
Answer the question, please, darling. Did you stop it?
No.
And did you protest me having you dressed in the finest fabrics by the best seamstresses in all of Europe?
No.
And did you whine about all of the lavish parties that we threw for our friends, or the endless amount of galas that we attended, or the holidays we took to different countries?
No.
So, I am not the only guilty one, am I?
No.
And there you have it.
But
There's always a but, isn't there?
if I had any idea the extent of the debts I would have to deal with, I would have never agreed to any of it.
Well, no man is rich enough to buy back his past.
Oscar, your debts didn't just come from keeping up with your literary peers and the extravagant lifestyle you'd become accustomed to. What I see here is a massive amount of bills accumulated from spending lengthy stays at hotels and rental properties all over Europe, even some hotels right there in London.
Well, I've traveled around quite a bit.
I can understand the lengthy stays in other countries, but hotels that are only a stone's throw away from home? Usually, when a spouse has an argument, one person just sleeps on the sofa.
The stays were for work. I was right in the middle of the premiere production of An Ideal Husband. And I was also completing the manuscript for The Importance of Being Earnest.
Which you could not have completed at home?
You and the boys were distractions. You know this. Every few minutes somebody was whining about a toy that they were unwilling to share, or creating some loud hullabaloo about not wanting a bath or a nap. I needed the quiet. I needed complete concentration without the madness of the house.
Oh, yes. So sorry, boys. I cannot take 5 minutes away from my work to be your father right now. I cannot risk losing my concentration.
Do you think that was primarily due to the artist process or gender roles of the times?
It was always about his process.
I have to admit, it looks like you were always with the children and you were the breadwinner.
Not necessarily. I wrote children's stories. I worked on translating the works of other writers into different languages. I was not some traditional Victorian housewife with only her needlepoint and her flower garden to look forward to. Besides, managing the finances was never the woman's duty.
Please.
And we'll get right back to that subject after a commercial break.
When you reside in close quarters, sometimes even the best embalming fluid can start to turn on you. That's why you need Coffin Fresh Deodorizer. Coffin Fresh has a patented time-release formula that keeps those nasty decomp odors away for a long, 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 long time. So, smell just as sweet as the day you died. Coffin Fresh will keep you fresh till you get to the other side.
Thank you, Ollie. So, when Oscar said he was taking these work vacations away from home, did you believe him?
I did, yes.
Did you always take him at his word?
Yes.
Even if the circumstances were suspicious, like these getaways?
There were doubts. Of course there were doubts. You would be hard-pressed to find anyone in a relationship who has never doubted what their lover has done or told them.
Constance, what went on in your head when he was gone?
What went on in my head? After the boys were asleep, I would go sit by the parlor window with only a single lamp lit. And there I would be, alone with my thoughts. Pray tell what is so swell at the Avondale Hotel? Why spend the night out on the Strand? What is the big attraction that brings you satisfaction? What pleasures does your wayward heart demand? You have 2 sons at home who are waiting, and hanging on the next word you might say. I pray that you may find me more engaging, but no, you won't be coming home. I know you won't be coming home today. What boy do you enjoy when you stay at the Savoy and far away from those you adore? Is it wine or the cuisine? Is the lighting more serene? What keeps you always going back for more? Friends you could invite over for dinner. You can light up a cigar most anywhere. To the racetrack you might go to pick a winner. What magnetism always draws, what magnetism always draws you there? Pray tell what is so swell at the Avondale Hotel? What luxuries could be so grand? What is the big attraction that brings you satisfaction? Not knowing I no longer can stand. Do tell just what the hell is at the Avondale Hotel? How has it cast you under its
These excursions couldn't have gone on unnoticed by you. Once again, you two were the talk of the town, and there were some pretty wild accusations being thrown around, right?
That is true. Some of the rumors I heard included Oscar having a vicious gambling problem and me becoming a pagan witch.
There was also talk that we had both become raging drunkards, that we could not be around each other without physically fighting.
There was also talk of affairs. Oscar? Constance. Who goes first? You knew we were going to address the proverbial elephant in the room at some point.
Don't everybody talk at once.
Oscar, these fancy trips for days on end and evenings out at pricey restaurants weren't just a necessary means to maintain your societal status, were they? These work vacations, were they also a means of discretion? Was dining out your way of saying, I love you, to someone new? Am I going to be asking you questions the rest of the show while you sit there in silence?
Well, they say that silence is golden.
Sure, if you want to be at this all night.
Oscar, just say it.
I do not find it necessary.
Are you mad? It tore us apart. Of course it is necessary.
Constance, why don't you tell us?
It is not my story to tell. Oscar needs to say it.
Why?
Because he never said it to me.
There was never a
Oh,
need.
yes, there was. There still is.
The need to say what exactly?
Tell us what it was you were doing at those hotels, Oscar.
Constance, I will not talk.
Tell us why you never came home to me at night, Oscar.
I refuse to.
Tell us who you were seeing there, Oscar. Say the name.
I will not do
I
this.
deserve to hear it. Say the name.
Constance, stop
Say
it.
the name.
I will not!
Say his name!
His name?
Bosie. We were lovers.
Thank you.
I promised you drama, didn't I? This Bosie, Oscar, that you're referring to was Lord Alfred Douglas, right?
Yes.
So then was this Bosie a nickname?
Yes, I cannot remember how it started, but yes.
Obviously, then the two of you were close.
Inseparable.
The relationship took place over a span of 2 years, so it was not just a reckless thing, true?
Yes, that's true.
Was this a surprise for you,
Was what a surprise.
this relationship with Bosie? Was it a shock?
If you mean, was I surprised that my feelings for Bosie developed so effortlessly? The answer would be no. It came as naturally as breathing.
My dearest boy who craves all my attention, my dearest boy, the source of my redemption, I saw his face and knew my world had changed, and in that space of time he had rearranged the boundaries that kept my life in place. I found a joy that only came from grace. I live to touch his hair and hand and marvel at his voice. If fate would foil the life I planned, the folly of my choice. He only thinks about himself, and I think only about him. I have to say, in this mismatched relation, a truth is revealed through it. The only way to get rid of temptation is to yield to it. Yield to it. I've abandoned all I've cherished, my home, my wife, my sons. I left my soul to perish, to feed my own obsessions. He only thinks about himself, and I think only about him. about himself. And I think only about him.
So you selfishly abandoned your family for someone else just as selfish. Is that fair to say?
I'm not certain that I would...
Fair.
You admitted to it. You really can't take it back.
Yes, but I did not abandon my family.
You keep saying that, but everything points to the contrary.
I was involved with my sons. I did everything for them that a loving and caring father would do for his children, and absolutely no one can say otherwise.
No one is saying you did not love and care for them.
Then what exactly are you saying?
What I am saying is parenthood is not selective. You cannot choose when you want to be involved. You are there for everything or for nothing. With you, it might as well have been nothing. With you devoting yourself to Bosie, if you had wanted another child to take care of, you should have stopped to think about the two you had waiting for you at home.
Referring to Bosie as a child? How old was he when the affair started?
He was 21.
And you were?
Oscar was 38.
Oh, so Bosie was like a trophy wife.
I am not completely certain what that means, but it sounds like an appropriate description.
Well, even before you were aware of this relationship, what did you think of Bosie?
It has been said already, but I thought he was selfish, disrespectful, immature.
Now tell us the bad things.
I also thought he was unnecessarily arrogant.
What are you saying?
You were different. Your arrogance was warranted, although a nuisance. You at least had talent. Bosie was useless. The boy failed most of his classes in school. At one point, Oscar tried to help him by having Bosie translate one of his works into French or Italian, as I recall, but Bosie's translation was so awful that Oscar ended up doing it himself.
That is not exactly how that happened.
Oscar, you told me this yourself. Am I wrong?
No.
I am simply giving the facts. This is who he chose to leave me for.
Did you suspect anything else going on between them other than a very close friendship?
Not at the time. Rumors had been going around that Oscar was consorting with some unsavory people, but I had heard those things for quite some time and I thought nothing of it. Besides, I was his wife. I was going to stand by him no matter what.
But Constance, you can't really claim to be 100% committed to this relationship. Arthur? Humphreys? Ring a bell? We'll answer that question and a whole lot more after this commercial break.
Life can have its ups and downs. In death there is no difference. And when death deals you an unpleasant surprise, the wise invest in Virgil's infernal fire insurance. The most trusted underworld underwriter for only God knows how long. It's too late for life insurance, it's true, so true. But we've got the policy that is right for you. You need fire insurance, and fire is our middle name. Pick up fire insurance, protection from eternal flame.
Thank you, Ollie. So, Constance Lloyd, while your husband was pursuing a man half his age, you were having an affair with a man, Arthur Humphreys. Was this true?
Who is Arthur Humphreys?
I completely forgot about him.
Forgot or chose to avoid?
I have not been avoiding the subject.
Good. So start talking.
Please.
He was a friend of mine whom I had known for years. I cannot remember how we reconnected, but we did have a brief association.
Oh.
Was this association, as you so politely call it, your way of retaliating to Oscar's affair?
I had no knowledge of Oscar's feelings for Bosie at the time that Arthur and I started seeing each other.
But you suspected it. The whole of London suspected it. You can't tell me you were that blind.
I was not blind to it.
Then answer my question. Was your affair in retaliation for Oscar's?
Yes,
Was the affair only physical?
almost purely.
Oscar completely losing sexual interest in you after Vivian's birth, and then out and about with friends, and must have been quite wonderful to have someone else wanting you.
It was.
Were you proud of it?
No. I felt guilty. That is why we only saw each other for a few months.
Was it worth it?
Absolutely.
Interesting. In what way?
It helped me realize that I was still an entirely desirable woman, and that in order to get Oscar to stay with us, his family, I needed to try harder. Instead of getting flustered and upset, I needed to love him more intensely and wholeheartedly.
Qui patitur vincit? Did you succeed at your plan?
Not at all. Oscar ran further away.
This entire situation is the pot calling the kettle black. How can you sit there and wag your finger at me?
I know that I am not blameless.
Well, for the past hour or so, you practically have.
I honestly forgot about it. Arthur and I, it was a fleeting moment.
You should have told me.
What? What would you have done? You were so bewitched by Bosie that I could have betted the entire British polo team in the next room and you never would have noticed. If I had told you, would it have made a difference?
I suppose not.
So Constance says she tried loving you even more to win you back, and you ran further away. Did you resent her for trying?
Yes.
Interesting. You were willing to forget all that he had put you and the family through so that you could start again. And you were unwilling to remember all the good things you had because you had found happiness elsewhere.
The heart is a funny thing, is it not? You give it all when you should not, and refuse to give an inch when you should. Hatred is blind as well as love, sent from below, led from above. Who is to say with blinders on where lust must go, where trust has gone? Insight is nowhere to speak of. Hatred is blind as well as love.
But you had insight.
So did you.
Everyone warned you, but you ignored them.
Only the shallow know themselves, small minds that grasp the lowest shells. Outside the wise teach what they see, inside is still a mystery. Murky the path when deep one delves, only the hatred is blind as well as love.
Constance had mentioned just a little earlier that you were bewitched by Bosie. Well, we can't dance around the topic any longer. It's time we started talking about the trial. There is a lot to cover on this subject, so first I want to get the facts out of the way. Bosie's father had heard the rumors about the illicit affair his son was having with Oscar. He began harassing him in public, referring to him as a sodomite. He even went so far as to attend the opening night performance of The Importance of Being Earnest with a bouquet of rotten vegetables that he intended to throw upon the stage. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Views on homosexuality have changed a lot in the last 100+ years. But being a homosexual in the Victorian era was not only considered immoral, it was also a punishable offense. Now this is where I get confused. It was you who took Bosie's father to trial, right?
I was, yes, I did.
Why? Why would you do that? Why would you be the one to sue Bosie's father for defamatory libel?
A few reasons.
Yeah.
The main reason being that I felt that if I struck first, then I would have the upper hand.
And what were the others?
Overconfidence that he could charm the jury out of a guilty verdict.
And Bosie convinced you to do this?
He did.
Bosie. All that stupid boy wanted was to get even with his hot-headed father. Oscar could not see that, though.
I stumbled across some different stories mentioning you attending a performance of An Ideal Husband right before the trial. What I found most fascinating was that you attended this performance linked arm in arm with Oscar and Bosie.
I did.
Why?
To show the
I
public...
was asking Constance.
To show everyone that there was no problem. My going out with them was supposed to quiet the blathering public. Too little, too late, I suppose.
You make it sound like you were a pawn.
But that was never the intent.
Of course it was, you fool. To protect the king and his new queen. They thought they could take advantage of my loyalty to Oscar.
Did you let them?
Yes. I thought it might somehow revive Oscar's feelings for me. I dropped everything else I had planned so I could be there for him. For them.
Constance, can you take us to that night?
We sat in our usual balcony box. Oscar had seated himself between Bosie and me. Everyone said that we should not be here, that we should just go home. But Oscar insisted on putting on a good face and wanted to stay through the entire performance. And since he would, so would I. Even though the play was going on, I felt that all eyes were watching us. We were the real entertainment. Then, I remember this moment as clear as day. Oscar shifted in his seat. He leaned back as if to put his arm around me. I was overjoyed. He noticed how nervous I felt, and he was going to comfort me. But he did not. Instead, He put his arm around Bosie. That was the exact moment I knew. All of the rumors were true. My world shattered with the smallest of gestures. Once the play was finished, Bosie and Oscar saw me to my carriage. When I was inside, I looked back at the two of them standing side by side in the street. I thought, you have ruined everything. I wept the entire ride home. That was the last time I saw Oscar as a free man.
Yet each man kills the thing he loves. By each let this be heard. Some do it with a bitter look, some with a flattering word. The coward does it with a kiss, the brave man with a sword.
I still recall the day that you were arrested. You sat in jail no matter how we protested. You should have listened when your friends all suggested that you go. You did not go. I stood beside you through the days of the trial. Your testimony gross and decent and vile. Oh, how I paid for all my years of denial. When you go, where you would go, when you would go.
Some kill their love when they are young, and some when they are old. Some strangle with the hands of lust, some with the hands of God. The kindest use a knife because the dead so soon grow cold.
The papers hounded us, reporters were ruthless. We tried to hide but found our efforts were useless. You should have known that they would find out the truth. We had to go, we had to go. We changed our names but still your scandal would follow. I asked for help but my old friendships were hollow. No one to come, no one to care or to call. Nowhere to go, nowhere to go, nowhere to go.
Some love too little, some too long. Some sell and others they buy. Some strangle with the hands of lust, some with the hope to sigh. For each man kills a thing he loves, yet each man does not die.
Qui patitur vincit.
reiterate, you stood by Oscar throughout the entire trial, right?
Yes.
When the guilty verdict was announced, you took the boys and left the country because of the scandal, right?
Yes.
Well, if you stood firmly by Oscar throughout the trial, then why not stay after?
It was no longer about helping him. My job was to protect the boys, and in order to do that, we had to leave England.
Well, I understand that Oscar's trial was the event of the decade, and in all the publications of the time, but why go to that extreme?
The moment the judge declared Oscar guilty, practically everyone we knew turned their backs to us. People we had known for years, whom I considered to be family, rejected us.
You must understand that a sentence of this type not only affected the person convicted. Each and every individual associated with that person was considered just as guilty.
Unbelievable. What about the rest of the public? What was the general view they took?
Now, we were always viewed as a circus. We were nothing but another story in the paper to read about. Celebrity is merely another form of entertainment. However, it is far more collaborative. Those that the public deem worthy of fame are like the biblical golden calf and are praised and exalted. But praise dies down, and constant devotion can be tiresome. Once the illusion of the godlike status dissipates and the idolaters see that their deities are nothing but flesh and bone, equally as fallible as themselves, they will tear you down as quickly as you were built up.
That's lovely, Oscar, but how does it relate to this situation?
The pedestal that we were put on, that Constance and I had been standing on graciously for years, was suddenly ripped out from under our feet, and we found ourselves cast down among the riffraff and degenerates of the street. We had become social pariahs, lepers, if you will, and there was absolutely nothing we could do to change that.
Yes, there was. We could have avoided it all if you would have listened to me.
What do you mean?
I begged him. I begged you to leave with us.
And what would that have done?
We could have left the country for a while and waited for it all to pass. It would have been our way out of this mess. We relocate ourselves and the boys to France or Germany for a while, then when all is clear, we start over. But you refused.
And if I were to do it all over again, I would still refuse. No one will ever push me into a corner and expect me to surrender.
Do you hear what you are saying? Do not push me. Do not expect me. The moment we were married, your me, whether you were aware of it or not, instantly became an us. It was no longer about you. It should have been about saving and protecting us, your family. Instead, you removed yourself from the equation entirely and left us fractured. I never forgot that.
No, of course not. You were the most disgraced mother of the century. I think we all get it now. You can stop playing the role of the victim.
Play the victim? You put me in that position, you bastard!
Constance.
No! This is something I have wanted to address for more than 100 years. Let me finish. I was told we were talked about in the history books. You were referred to as a great literary wit who fell to the harsh restrictions of Victorian morality. A genius born in the wrong century. A martyr for future generations of homosexuals around the world. Do you know what they said about me? About your family? Nothing. We were expositional fodder, reworked and refitted to emphasize the struggles of a brilliant mind in the sprawling biography of the great Oscar Wilde's life. When you strip it all down, you were and are nothing more than another pathetic man who abandoned his family to follow his carnal desires. And in that, there is not a damn thing to be respected.
Things are really heating up now. It's probably a good time for a break. Some of you viewers may wish to know how to appear on Clear the Air. Here's Ollie Fisher to tell you where to go.
Thank you, Bernadette. For those of you live at home who wish to participate on Clear the Air or be part of our studio audience, try suicide. And for those of you who would like to contact us here at Clear the Air, please call 1-666-473-2623. That's right. Call 1-666-4-SEANCE. Back to you, Bernadette.
Thank you, Ollie. So, Oscar, when you were finally released from prison after 2 years, it was reported that you didn't have a dime to your name.
Yes.
All of your household possessions had either been repossessed or auctioned off to cover your legal fees.
Quite true.
What was your plan to get back on your feet?
Well, Constance and I still corresponded when I was in jail, and once I got out, we were going to try to make things work.
After everything Oscar put you and your family through, you were willing to start again? After you said you couldn't forgive him? Why?
I did not want my children growing up without their father. I may have been done with him, but I was never going to deny my boys that right.
But I slipped.
What do you mean by slipped?
Well, at the same time that Constance and I were trying to heal our wounds.
Started talking to Bosie again.
So instead of healing, you reopened old wounds.
And watched them bleed all over again.
Huh. You went back to Bosie, didn't you?
Yes.
What did you decide to do then?
I cut him off completely.
In what ways exactly?
I cut him off from my money.
You were still supporting him after the trial?
Yes. I also forbade him from seeing the boys ever again.
Did you actually hold up your threats this time?
No, she did. Her family helped see to it. I never saw my children again.
How much of that was her stopping you and you not even trying? At this point, why wasn't divorce considered? You had custody, and you were more than able to support yourself and the boys. Why not just make it official?
My health.
Oh, that's right. Around this time, you'd been dealing with painful mobility issues and bouts of temporary paralysis, right?
I had endured it for years.
Really? For years? I don't have any information about that.
I know.
Why don't I?
As I said when I first came out here, I do not wish to be a burden to anyone. I was taking the necessary steps to get better.
But that wasn't the end, was it?
No. Unfortunately, the paralysis came back, but this time it was worse. I went to a surgeon and something went wrong during the operation. When I woke up, nothing felt right. My entire body was nearly paralyzed.
Then what?
My heart gave out. I died there in the recovery room in Genoa.
Oscar, where were you?
I never knew. No one knew that she was going to have this operation. We were all completely blindsided by the news. The boys were informed by the headmaster at their school. I was told of her death by friends.
Were you upset to know she didn't even try to contact you?
Furious.
I did not think you would care.
I cared. In spite of all my mistakes, I still cared greatly. Did you know that I visited your grave?
You did.
You were buried in a cemetery in Genoa. Your brother picked up a lovely headstone for you. It was a cross with some ivy leaves carved into it. My name was nowhere to be seen. I think it was better that way. Tread lightly, she is near under the snow. Speak gently,
the daisies grow. All her bright and golden hair tarnished to rust, she that was young and fair fallen to dust. Lily-like, white as snow, she hardly knew she was a woman, so sweetly she grew. Coffin board, heavy stone, lie on her breast. I vex my heart alone. She is at rest. Peace, peace, she cannot hear. Lie her horse on it. All my life is buried here. Heap dirt upon it. Tread lightly, she is near, under the snow. Speak gently, she can hear. The daisies grow.
I came across a letter that you, Oscar, had written after visiting her burial plot. In it, you said, it was very tragic seeing her name carved on a tomb. I was deeply affected with a sense also of the uselessness of all regrets. Nothing could have been otherwise. And
Life is a terrible thing.
Now, towards the end of your life, you were practically a shut-in.
It was mostly because I was dealing with health complications of my own. I received a rather nasty blow to the head when I was in jail. I started to lose my hearing and suffered from massive headaches. The physician said I had cerebral meningitis. I died 2 years after Constance.
So, Constance, how do you feel after seeing all of this?
I am not sure. Confused.
How so?
If you cared about me that much, why did you not tell me?
Things had started to unravel for us. We were always arguing or trying to avoid each other. I never knew how to tell you how I felt.
Do you remember when we used to talk about everything we wanted out of life? Our deepest goals and desires? The type of people we wanted to become? how we would arrange the furniture in our quaint little house, picturing our children and how happy our lives would be. Time meant nothing, and neither did the rest of the world when I was with you. Do you remember that? Because I never forgot. Life was once a path to blaze. I remember those novel and exciting days. I remember when men came courting at my door. I shy away before a conversation. Such trepidation then. You stared me with your knowing gaze. I remember, oh, how you turned a clever phrase. I remember you looked into my timid heart, unlocking me, young artist, deep inside me. You would confide in me. Quoting a Byron and Keats, walking Chelsea streets, watching theater and dance. The lectures, the plays, the fresh bouquets, our honeymoon in France. A love so new, memories as fresh as dew. Days of humor filled with laughter. I remember nights of love that lingered after. I remember with me you dropped your public mask, and I would live to bask in your reflection, your true affection deep. Like a strange infection, you had lost all your affection, till your scorn and your rejection had entombed me. Hope may spring eternal, but despair from your infernal tryst had doomed me. Lost had consumed me.
Life was once a path to blaze. I remember those novel and exciting days. I remember before the sky came crashing down, we had a life that others only dreamed of. You were my one true love.
I remember.
I remember.
I remember. Yes, I remember.
Bernadette, it's that time.
Yes, Ollie, it is. For those of you who don't know what that sound means, it means that the big guy upstairs is ready. Since we've had 2 guests on our show today, we want to give each of them one last chance to clear up anything they need to before the final decision is made. Oscar, we will start with you.
There is nothing further that I have to clear up with Constance.
Seriously? There is nothing else you need to resolve?
No.
So be it. The moment of truth. We will now find out if you will ascend. A decision has been made. Oscar, I'm sorry. You will not ascend.
I know.
You were expecting this outcome?
I was.
Explain.
I withheld the truth from you when you asked why I came here. I did not come here for me. My troubles are and will always be with Bosie, not with Constance. I came here for her.
What? But Oscar, you loved me. If you would have told me, it would have changed everything.
It would have changed nothing.
How can you say that? I would have stopped everything I was doing and come running back to you, just like before. We could have started over.
There was no starting over. Our worlds were forever altered. So much had changed.
Everything would have been new again.
Until we fell into the same trap.
Please listen to me,
No!
Oscar.
There is no point. We are dead, Constance. We cannot go back and recreate the perfect life that you wanted.
It was the life that we wanted.
Not anymore.
Constance. When you first came to the show, you said you wanted to confront the source of your pain. Do you feel that you've done that? Because I don't think you have. Over the course of this show, we've heard that every time Oscar did something wrong, you were always waiting for him to come back with open arms.
I am a forgiving person.
I'm beginning to think of it more as selfishness. He had clearly found love elsewhere with Bosie. Why didn't you let him go?
Because of the boys.
Oh, stop using them as a crutch. Undoubtedly, that's a part of it. But what about you? That's what you need to figure out. Why can't you let him go?
He was everything I ever wanted. More than that, he was everything I ever needed. Oscar, you helped me to become so much more than I ever thought I could be. I was afraid to lose you, so I held on to you, to us. I tried everything I could to make you love me again. I thought I would not be strong enough without you.
But you were. Please listen to me. The truth is that I did love you. I still love you.
Then why would you...
But not the way you want me to. When we were together, I had not matured enough to realize that the worst thing that a person can do in this life is ignore or deny what their heart is telling them. Now, I loved Bosie, but I knew that that was something that could never be accepted in our society, so I kept the truth hidden. But the more I followed my instinct, the more comfortable I was. And the more comfortable I was, the more selfish and stubborn I became. I felt I should be able to do whatever I wanted with my life, and damn anyone who wanted to tell me different. But I dragged you and the boys along with me, and you had to deal with the consequences of my actions the best way that you could. No amount of apologies will ever take that guilt away, and nothing I can say will ever make what I did to you excusable. But I hope that you can understand when I say to you this. I do not blame you for anything that you did, and neither should you. Nothing between us was ever your fault. I will always love you for what we had. Now stop holding on to the past. You have been through enough. Let it go.
Constance?
That is It's everything I needed to hear.
A decision has been made. Constance, you will ascend. Congratulations. Please make your way to the ascension platform.
Wait, please. I've always loved you, Oscar, just the way you were, but never could accept the life you gave me. For all your reckless follies, I was always sure that one day my love for you might save me. But you never will change. Still I'm feeling a strange relief, just knowing that you care. I can let go now of all my earthly pain. I can let go now. There's nothing left to gain by clinging to the anchor of my past. I feel peace at last. I can let go now. Can let go now, leave history behind. I can let go now, and suddenly I find I feel lighter. I know that I can fly. I can taste blue sky. I can let go now. I can taste blue sky. I can let go now.
I beg your pardon, Bernadette, but
Yeah.
where exactly is my platform? I can only assume that I am heading the other way.
Actually, no.
I beg your pardon.
Well, this is unprecedented, but our sponsor has decided that you will remain in Purgatory. And he is offering you a job.
A job? You know how I feel about working.
I know. Listen, just listen. Our network sponsors are looking for a late-night talk show host to spice up the ratings. Our numbers for this show are through the roof. My good sir, you have the gift.
The gift?
The gift of gab. What do you say?
What exactly would this job entail?
Oh, you know, hobnobbing with the well-to-do, telling clever jokes, discussing frivolity.
Oh, sounds intriguing.
Well, if you're not interested, we can always make arrangements to...
No. It's a lovely offer. I graciously and wholeheartedly accept.
I thought you might. Whoa, what a night this has been, Ollie. Ooh, 2 crossovers in the same show. One who has found eternal peace, and the other about to embark on an after career track. What will happen next week?
Next week, week on Clear the Air will be special guests Zelda and F. Scott Fitzgerald. You won't want to miss it. And be sure to stay tuned for the premiere of Late Night with Oscar Wilde, when Oscar will welcome his guests Elizabeth Taylor, Sylvia Plath, and special musical guest star Liberace. Now remember, it may not be a wonderful day today, but it's always a bad day in hell. So tip your waitress, always wash your hands after using the restroom, and please stop for even the ugliest children in crosswalks.
We've had a hell of a show tonight. We've had a hell of a show tonight.
There is no finer form of recreating.
Kick back, relax, and view.
If there's stiff competition in the ratings, well, there just might be a talk show for you.
We've had a hell of a show tonight. We'll go above and below tonight.
When it's Judgment Day, a verdict will be rendered.
If the answer is nay, then pain must be tended.
Watch the fires of Hades ignite.
It's the time when our guests get their sins off their chest.
It's a time when the dead say what needs to be said.
They will reap what they sow. Watch the joy and the woe.
It's a hell of a show